Welcome to Dr. Katina Talks, the podcast where we explore the journey to a more fulfilling, balanced, and meaningful life. I'm your host, Dr. Katina, and every week I bring you stories from my own life and lessons I've learned about healing, authenticity, and being gentle with ourselves and others. If you've been following this podcast, then you already know a little about how I grew up in the projects in Camden, New Jersey. I've shared stories of survival, like the dingy Wonder Woman bra, and how I navigated a world where I had to grow up fast, which I told in the podcast titled When Strength Becomes a Shield. But today's story isn't just about me, it's about Shay and the window that stood between us. With her permission, I am telling you our story. Here we go. Shay is one of my oldest friends. I knew her from the project apartments we grew up in called Crest Fair Apartments. Over the past 40 plus years, these projects have gone through many owners and just as many name changes. But those blacky brown 2-story buildings in the hood still look the same as they did when we were children. Shay reached out to me after hearing one of my recent podcast episodes. She saw the outfit I wore as a young teenager in the promotional post and told me how she remembered it. I figured it was probably because I had a limited wardrobe and wore the green and yellow stonewashed jeans and shirt more times than I should have. But while talking to her, I realized that although I loved the outfit and it was mine, that outfit represented something far greater to her. Shay told me she remembered a trip to Philly we took together when we were teenagers. It was the first time her mother let her out on her own, and it was with me to purchase a few outfits for school. And one of those outfits I chose was the stonewashed jean set. Shay told me how that trip changed her, how it gave her courage, how it sparked her independence, and how for years after our trip together, she kept going back to Philly on her own, chasing that same feeling of freedom. Listening to this story, I was floored because I had no idea. To me, that day was just another errand on public transportation to the neighboring city of Philly. I'd been navigating the Philly subway since I was about 9, hopping trolleys and buses like a little city soldier. I knew every transfer, every stop, and I traveled this way with the confidence of an adult. But on this day, what felt normal to me was liberation to Shay. Now, to understand why she felt so liberated, I need to tell you the backstory of me and Shay. We were the same age, born just days apart, living in the same housing projects. Me upstairs, 2 apartments over from her. Shay lived in a ground floor unit. When I opened my front door, I would skip just a few yards and be at her bedroom window. We became friends before we even hit double digits. But looking back, we were living 2 completely different lives. I was what you might call a feral child, always outside on my own, exploring, visiting, playing with few boundaries. I wasn't wild and neglected, but I was a little untamed and unsupervised, which was very common for us kids growing up in the projects in the 80s. I had freedom, too much freedom. During the summer months, I would eat breakfast and I'd be out the door, gone all day, playing with the neighborhood kids. I can remember riding my pink Huffy bike through the neighborhood, learning to skate on borrowed loud metal roller skates that sparked against the sidewalk and pinched my toes because they never quite fit. I can remember jumping double dutch and singing the most nonsensical songs that I can still sing to this day. Once it got dark, we played tag, hide and seek, and then, as we got older, hide and freak. But that's another story for another day. When I think back to this time in my childhood, I wasn't free because life was good. I was free because no one was watching. And Shay? She was the girl in the window who could never come out and play. While I explored the world outside, Shay watched our childhood from her bedroom window, and I would often join her talking through the screen for hours. She had 2 parents with good jobs, and each had their own car. In her bedroom, I could see that she had brand-name toys and the newest records stacked by her stereo. She had the stability I dreamed of, and in her house, They had HBO before anyone else in the projects. In addition to what I saw and coveted from that window, she also had something I did not covet: invisible bars, locks on the door, rules, and silence. Shay's parents rarely let her out, even when they were home. If I knocked on her door to ask if she could come play, the answer was usually no, or sometimes just for 5 minutes. She would sit on the front step and we would talk about absolutely nothing and everything like little girls do. Then her mom's voice would cut through the air, calling her back inside, and off I'd go to freedom, and she would return to the quiet prison cell of her bedroom, looking out her window at our childhood playing out before her eyes. But we found a loophole. During the summer, when her parents went to work and bolted the front door, I would climb in through her bedroom window. That window was our doorway to friendship, and inside her world, it felt like another universe. We'd put on her mother's high heels and wrap ourselves in her grown lady dresses. We'd lip sync into hairbrushes and dance to the latest tune she played on her record player. We watched movies on HBO. Now, the bad stuff came on at night, so we were safe during the day. And guess what else we did? We cooked. We cooked entire meals like we were preparing for Thanksgiving. You heard me right. We were cooking like we were grown. We were barely 9 years old and making full meals with meat we half defrosted in the sink. I can remember cutting off the done parts, and then we would toss the rest out of the same window I climbed through to hide the evidence from our mom. But one day, her mom came home early. She smelled the cooking. She noticed the freezer meat was gone. And Shay, she denied everything with wide eyes and shaky hands. Her mother never knew I'd been there, never knew her daughter's prisoner life had a little escape hatch made of friendship, food, and joy. Years later, Shay told me something that broke my heart. Those summer days weren't just fun, they were lifelines. She told me she felt locked away, not just physically, but emotionally too. She told me there were other things, harder things that happened to her in that house. She carried those experiences into adulthood, and yet she didn't let them destroy her. She grew, she thrived, she healed, and I'm so proud of her. Talking to Shay got me thinking not just about her life, but about how childhood experiences and encounters shape our adult lives, our personalities, and how we move through the world. Here are 5 lessons that came from that window. Lessons that remind us to see people not just as they are, but as they were. 1. What's ordinary to you could be extraordinary to someone else. That Philly trip, a routine day for me. For Shay, it was freedom. It shaped her. We never know when we're changing someone's life just by being ourselves. 2. Childhood isn't always visible, but it's always present, even into adulthood. Some memories remain, and others may haunt us. That overly assertive coworker, that person who dominates every meeting, maybe they grew up never feeling heard. Maybe they were ignored or silenced. Shay looked like she had it all from the outside: parents, comfort, structure. But trauma hides behind windows and locked doors. You never know what a person has experienced and how it has shaped them. 3. Kindness doesn't mean weakness, and unkindness often means pain. When someone is cold, short, or snappy, it's not always about you. It might be the only way they know to feel safe. Hurt often wears armor, and the more spiked the armor, the more wounded the soul beneath it. 4. Protect your peace, but extend grace. Shay's parents were strict, but now, as an adult, I wonder what fears and trauma they carried from their own stories that trickled down in how they treated their daughter. Grace means that you extend kindness and humanity even when the person may act in a way that is undeserving. This doesn't mean that you accept unkindness and pain from another, but that you don't match negative energy and that you give someone kindness even when they may be undeserving. As Michelle Obama said, when they go low, we go high. 5. Every adult was once a child. Every last adult was once a child. That anxious friend, that critical boss, that person who can't stop pleasing everyone. They were all once children, some free like me, some locked away like Shay, others with their own stories. Before the trauma, before the adult roles they play now, they were just kids trying to feel safe, loved, and seen. Now Shay watched our childhood from behind a window, and I watched her life from the streets, never knowing she longed to feel the freedom that I did simply by playing outside as a child. We were both wishing for what the other had. I think about that now, and how many of us are still doing that. So the next time someone annoys you, cuts you off in traffic, sends a passive-aggressive email, or shuts you out, pause. Don't just see the adult. Picture the child they used to be. A child who maybe had to be perfect. A child who maybe got yelled at for having feelings. A child who maybe never got the chance to be free. Be gentle with them. And just as importantly, be gentle with yourself. Thank you for listening to Dr. Katina Talks. If this episode spoke to you, don't forget to like it and share it with someone who needs a reminder that we are all walking stories. And please follow me on Instagram or Facebook at Dr. Katina Talks. And visit drkatinatalks.com for more resources and episodes. And if you're ready to go a little deeper, I've created a free companion journal entry just for this episode. Visit drkatinatalks.com to download it. Sometimes putting pen to paper is the first step toward healing and reclaiming your power. If this episode touched you, and if you're the Shay in someone's life or the friend who climbed through their window, know that your presence might have meant more than you ever knew. Until next time, protect your peace, but offer grace. Always. Bye for now.